The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views and positions of the agency.
Welcome to DYCD Next Gen. I'm your host, Ryan Cooks, and our monthly podcast features the very latest on everything DYCD has to offer, and we go right to the heart of the story, speaking to young people and New Yorkers about the issues they face in their daily lives. Today, we are joined by DYCD's Deputy Commissioner of Community Development, Mike Bobbitt, to discuss the Fatherhood Initiative and the recent expansion of the program that serves twice as many dads. Also, welcome to the show, Alexander Davidson, a father of four whose life has been changed through the Fatherhood Initiative. Welcome, you guys. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Ryan.
My first question is for you, Mike. Could you explain what the Fatherhood Initiative is and why it was created?
Sure. DYCD has sponsored a Fatherhood Initiative for over 20 years. And when I came to the agency, I was really excited to see that. And it made a lot of sense to me that DYCD, which is so well known throughout the city and honestly throughout the whole country, one of the largest after-school providers, one of the largest, probably the largest and the largest summer school providers, so much youth work that we do. It made a lot of sense that as a companion strategy to strengthening the lives of children and strengthening the lives of families generally, that there would be focused work on fatherhood. So the historical focus for DYCD's Fatherhood Initiative has been on non-custodial dads and in strengthening their role with mom and with their kids financially, emotionally, promises kept and made. Made and kept, sorry. That's just going to strengthen outcomes for kids. Now, one of the things we're really excited about, I know we'll talk about the new model, is that we're going to expand. We have now expanded beyond non-custodial dads to work with custodial dads as well. But you asked about the history, and that's why we've had that history.
A question for you, Alex. So, what first made you want to join the DYCD Fatherhood Initiative? And just run it back. Where were you in your life around that time?
What made me want to join, to be honest, I didn't want to join. I was going through a situation dealing with my kids. My youngest, she fell, took her to the hospital, and ACS pretty much got involved. So ACS pretty much mandated me to take the course, not all of it, just participate in the course to show that, I'm a responsible person. But once I got into the course, it was no longer about my child then. Pardon, this is not going to make any sense first. But it was no longer about my child then, you feel what I'm saying? It was more about how I viewed my child, you feel what I'm saying? So once I got into the program, it literally transitioned me being here because of you to now me being here because of me. You see what I'm saying? And that part of me being here for me, that self-realization, those moments, it was a lot. It was a lot. I appreciate it. At first, like I said, I didn't think I needed it, but once I went through it, it was exactly what I needed.
I'm really happy to hear, Alex, you share your story. And you were asking a moment ago about the history of the program, and I talked about how much sense it has made that DYC would have a father initiative given all the youth work that we did. And one thing I didn't specifically talk about that I'm mindful of now, because Alex shared his story, is the importance of the Fatherhood Initiative in supporting the dads on their own, just as human beings, as people who are trying to get through life and face challenges. And anecdotally, stories like Alex's, what he just shared, are pretty common. Over the years, we've gotten a lot of referrals from other city agencies. Child welfare is one of them. The probation department is another one. So an agency like that will find out someone's a dad, and they might mandate them. Oh, you need parenting, right? And you heard Alex's story. Initially, he didn't even feel he needed the program, but then he actually benefited from the program. And I think an important part of that is the way we deliver the program. The program is for dads. The program is for dads so they have an opportunity to stabilize their own lives. And we know when we help them do that, they're going to pay it forward. I was thinking about this knowing that we were going to have this interview. Some people talk about what they call two-generational programming. And that's that idea that if you work with an individual, you work with a family, they're going to work as a family. They're going to work on, what do I need to be stronger? What do my kids need to be stronger? So I feel like there's a lot of elements to our Fatherhood Initiative that's like that. Dads, I won't speak for Alex, but what I heard from his story, I heard from other dads that didn't want to be in the program, but then when they're in the program, not only did they get tips and techniques, but they met other dads. And they didn't necessarily go into the program looking to meet other dads.
Exactly, yeah.
But then they do meet other dads, similar struggles.
Right.
They begin problem solving together. And one of the phrases I've heard some of the dads and some of the staff that run the programs, they talk about steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron. So when you have fathers get together to discuss what are the issues of the day, how can we be great dads, a program that's focused on that makes time for that is just make all the difference in the world, I would think.
And see, not to cut anybody off, but in that same sense right there, I just feel like those programs built for the fathers is where being a person that's actually been in multiple of these programs, I just feel like you learn more from other fathers than you do the instructors. You see what I'm saying? Because sometimes the instructor may not have children. So you may not actually 100% get where we coming from.
Yeah.
But you understand where we at. You just don't get where we come from.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So being around other fathers that understand, yo, bro, we in the mud with you, we in the dirt with you, like it's a different get. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I actually benefited from a few of those fathers. And, you know, to this day, I can call some of them right now. Yo, bro, what's the word? How is it going? You know, how's life? You want to go out? We can link up. And I didn't have that opportunity before. You know, I didn't have this brotherhood in a sense. You see what I'm saying? Because I can call on them for whatever purposes. Some of them, they even met my family, met my kids. I'm okay with that. You feel what I'm saying? I've met some of theirs, and I'm okay with that. And it's just that camaraderie right there. It's not advertised anywhere. That's literally something that you have to go out and find. That's right. That's the diamond in the rough that we have to go bury. We have to go dig up. And that, I think, is a problem. The same way we glorify anything dealing with the mothers, not putting any dirt on them, from saying, I feel like we need to put these programs out there for the fathers as well. We need to glorify it just as much as we do the mothers.
Getting this, like, brotherhood and, like, learning and from the other fathers, would you say that, like, changed the way you showed up as a father, like, or, like, changed the way you think about fatherhood?
Most definitely. Bit of honesty, I got 4 kids. 13, 7 lies. 13, 8, 6, and 1. And for a long time, me and a 13-year-old, I wasn't able to see her. You know what I'm saying? And that was pretty much because of me. You know, I didn't realize it because I wasn't looking at the problem being me, because I was so focused on blaming everybody else. Right, you know? Yeah. And being inside the program, I didn't sat down here and heard other pictures from fathers, the struggles that they was going through, and it made me just really kick back and look like, hold on, am I really the problem here? Like, is it really, really me? Like, nah, it really can't be me. And that realization moment when you realize you are the problem, it hurts. You know what I'm saying? It hurts. And a lot of men ain't going to be like, you know what, bro? Let's face that together. Nah, this group, yo, bro, you feeling pain? Let's talk about it. Let's get through it. And that's pretty much what made me want to stick to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, out on the street, you don't see it like that because it comes in a negative way. You know what I'm saying? But that positive reinforcements that we are looking for as fathers, you gain it in the program. Not saying that you have to gain it inside the program, but that was an available safe space for us to gain it.
And you was able to get the support you need and everything to, like, you know, kind of figure things out.
Yeah, like, not to put anybody's personal lives out there, but one of the fathers that I met has like six kids. I'm saying that he fully supports every single one of them. Now, each one of his baby mothers comes with a different life. You see what I'm saying? Right, like, it's a different life. So for him to juggle these 6 different lives and still come here after living what he's going through, it's like, damn, dog. Like, you really going through that, and you really standing here telling us the stories, the war scars, everything, just to hear it. Once again, you were going through a worse situation than me. I couldn't imagine myself dealing with 6 kids, especially 6 different women. I couldn't do that.
Right, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Sure. But I got 4, dealing with 3, and I'm cool with that. You know, my situation is okay. I found a way to deal with my situation. After hearing yours, yeah, I feel like I can deal with this. Yeah. I can deal with this. You found a way to deal with 6. I should be able to deal with 3.
You can definitely handle what you got.
You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
So yeah, it's moments like that to where I can literally shine some brightness in your darkness, and it's moments like that us fathers really look for, so we can be able to experience that with our kids. You know, I can have a moment with my child that you've never even thought about with yours, because you don't have that platform with your baby moms to deal with that. And as a father going through a similar situation, I can give you a platform. I can give you an idea on how to set up a platform. See what I'm saying?
Right. Because
I'm currently going through your situation, just with a little bit more details, but your situation, I got it. Here go the blueprint on how you should walk through that. I'm saying, being a father that has children, I can help you with that. But somebody that don't have kids, it's kind of hard. Not saying that you don't, but it's kind of hard for him to say, you know what, here, this should be a blueprint for you to follow, you know, this, that, and the third, because you don't understand my experience. I'm saying, your nieces and nephews don't amount out to my children. You dig what I'm saying? It's a different level there. Back to the program. Sorry for sidestepping. But yeah, like it's a lot. You know, seeing my kids differently, being able to communicate with them differently. I learned most of that from other people's situations. See what I'm saying? It wasn't a script. It was real live situations. And it takes a toll, you know, just to realize it.
Alex hit on so many really interesting and powerful things. And one of the things that you just made me reflect on, you're talking about the value of the networking and the brotherhood, as you put it, right? And I mentioned before how some dads say, they don't want to be in the program until they're in the program.
Right.
And the programs, we've been doing this for a while now. I call them sticky. You have a lot of dads that initially don't want to be in the program, and then they start networking in real space in real time, and then they want to stay. And so with this, and I understand why they want to stay too. And with this next iteration, when we've launched, and we're thankful to the city for adding more money to the program. We're able to double the scope. We've got at least 2 programs in every borough. But some aspects that I think are really powerful in the design or in the new design is there's even more space for what Alex is talking about, because we pay attention. DYCD is a learning organization. So when we get a lot of stories like Alex's story, we want to make space for that. And the other thing that what Alex is sharing made me think about is how important it is to challenge unhelpful narratives that are told about our people, whether that's as New Yorkers or whether that is men or whether it's fathers or whether it's, BIPOC, right? There are some really unhelpful narratives that some people have. One of the terms you hear sometimes is deadbeat dads. And there's a professor we're friendly with at Columbia. He said, it's not deadbeat dads. Some dads may be dead broke dads. They're trying to make it happen with what they got, whether it's 4 kids or 6 kids or whatever. The other thing, which some people may find crazy, but if you look at communities of color, men are actually hyper engaged. But if you don't look, you wouldn't think it. Right. Because of narratives that other people might have about our dads. And so I think it's really important that DYCD is stepping up and standing up to create programs that, in the way that we generally do, one, we rely on nonprofit to run the programs, right? People who have lived experience in communities and know how to reach and network and retain and stay engaged with people. And one of the things that my team and I talk about is people having authentic, helpful intentions. It's not just you put a shingle out, and if you come in, you come in. If you don't make your appointment, you don't make your appointment, and either way they get paid. It's like people who are really invested in trying to help people in the community. So when I hear you talk, Alex, I feel we've done a good job with the program that you've funded because of how they're staffing and because of how they're volunteering and how they're having dads that want to stay. So by the time you enroll, there's the potential for there to be a network, for the potential for there to be a brotherhood. And from what you've already shared, you've actually stepped into that brotherhood as well. You know, like we have to counter these unhelpful narratives about who we are. You're doing it. Obviously, from what you've shared already, you are actually doing that. So if we can, you talked about shining a light a moment ago, if we could shine a light on you and other dads who are in the program, I really, for DYC, I want to see us challenge that entire narrative.
Nah, see, me personally, I wouldn't even want the light shined on myself. You know, I get that I've gone through the program and, you know, my stories are great, but I want to be able to help those fathers in the dark spaces. You see what I'm saying? Those fathers that was outside looking for that help, seeking that person to talk to. I want to shine a light on them because that's where it's really needed. You know, and like I said, it's not enough voices reaching those fathers saying, you know what, brother, we got help for you. You know, we can help you get through your situation, or we can guide you so you can better handle your situation. You know, it's not enough voices for fathers out there like that. And I just feel like ACS at that point in time, when ACS mandated it for me, that was pretty much a sign that, you know what, this may be a road that you should just, you know, explore. It's not necessarily, yo, you in trouble, but maybe the viewpoint that you needs this type of push. Why don't you explore that? And, you know, I took the leap. You know, with the help of my wife, I sat down here and took the leap and said, let me go ahead and do it. And like I said, these fathers out here, all they want is a voice. All they want is to be heard. All they want is to be a part. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And there's just not enough. It's just not enough help, not enough eyes on that part of us being fathers, not alone us, yet alone us being men, but more so us being fathers. It's not enough voices for that.
I give you credit. I give you credit for shouting out your wife, and I appreciate that. And sometimes when we get to talk about fatherhood, I feel like I have to remind people pro-fatherhood is not anti-motherhood. And if you have a lot of men who identify as dads, and frankly, anyone who identifies as a father is welcome to enroll in the program. We don't get caught up in all that. If you call yourself a dad, you can come into the program. But as you can understand, it would mostly be men who present as dads. It's not knocking women, you know. I'll give you an example. Sometimes the agency, the city will do Dad Take Your Child to School Day. And we want to bring attention to how important symbolically and practically it is when dad at the start of the school year says, paying attention. You know, one of our colleagues, he's one of the new father providers. He runs the Real Dads Network. He will say to the dads, we want you to show up, but we also want to make sure you memorize the names of all the teachers. So then you showed up one day in September, October, but then also in December, you're asking, how's it going with, you know, like one of my daughter's teachers, Miss May. How's it going with Miss May? Oh, it's great. Da-da-da-da-da. They also clock that you were paying attention and you know what's going on, right? You know, so the idea that typically moms are up on that is great. It's not anti-mom for dad to also be on the same page. This is not a legal thing. There's some people that talk about men's rights versus women's rights. This is not a one versus the other rights thing. This is about child-centered team coming together, family strengthening, you know. And the research is out there. The research is known. Engaged dads result in great kids. Kids that feel healthier and more adjusted in their community. They're less likely to get in trouble at school or in the community. They embrace life in ways with the support of their parents, with the support of the village, really, in ways that maybe other kids have had challenges or struggles with, you know? I mean, there's that anecdote, right? Like if you're teaching a kid how to ride a bike or something like that, right? Maybe, and I apologize if I'm stereotyping. Let's just imagine if one parent is sort of hovering, don't fall, and another parent is giving them that extra feet or two of space, and if you fall, get back up. Actually, I can personalize because that something literally like that happened in my own child's life. My child was in nursery school or preschool, and we were in somebody's backyard, and she and a boy and another 4 kids are chasing each other around in the backyard, and my daughter fell down. And another dad who has a son, he started to reach in to help my daughter. And I looked at her and I said, get up. And she got up and he looked at me and I said, how would you have handled that with Kevin? And he was like, oh. Do you know what I mean? It's just so dads need a forum. Like, I am treating my daughter and raising my daughter in some ways the same way you would treat your son. Dust yourself up and move on. You're fine. Kids cry when you signal they should cry. And kids smile and move on with it when you signal you're good.
Right.
So when dads can be in these forums like we're discussing and they can chop it up and go over these strategies, you know what? That brother tried. I'm going to try that next week and report back how it went. I hear from your story, I hear from other people's story. That's what happens in fatherhood programs, right? A space that counters these unhelpful narratives where dads are real-time, authentic with one another, the providers being authentic with them, the things that really need to show up that support dads and dads' interests, having great marriages, relationship with the wife if they're married, having great relationship with the co-parent if they're not, forming together, trying to, having great relationships with the custodial parents, if that's what it takes. You know?
Right.
Yeah. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but that just made me think about how I don't knock any other city agency, but I feel DYCD is well positioned to be helpful to other city agencies. And so there's a lot of folks who, when they work with child welfare, let's say, and they're thinking about removing a child, they look to mom. Maybe if they think mom is not suitable, they look to mom's parents. And so some folks, not necessarily our providers would be among a sea of other people. There's advocates and other folks that say, by the way, did you ask about dad? And I bet dad has parents too. Did you ask about them before you're looking to move a child out of a fathers are on the scene. Let us tap them as the resource they are. Let them play the roles that they want to play.
And I just feel like, added to your point, in situations like that, I don't feel like we need to prove ourselves worthy to be a part of the question. You know what I'm saying? If we're part of the option, then we'll feel included. You know, our child will feel like they're wanted, but when you don't include us in the option, it just makes us feel left out. So now when we're outside searching for that, you can stereotype us however you want, but we outside getting to it, you know, finding a way to see our child.
Was there like a specific like activity or like class or moment in the program that like really stuck with you? Like, that you can think of?
Most definitely. And it's funny because I was just talking about this on the way here. We had to write a letter to our child. Pretty much, how can I reference this? When you go into the military, they have you write a letter to your loved ones, you know, in case you pass away type things. This is what you would say, your final words to your loved one. We had similar exercise inside the class where we had to write that same exact letter to our child. And just to sit down here and watch everybody start writing and actual tears start falling on these tables, it's almost 20, 25 of us in here. And there's actual tears falling. That moment right there resonated to me because this experience was a real thing. You know what I'm saying? It was real. It was nothing fake about it. You couldn't duplicate this in any fashion. This was just that genuine moment where everybody was like, this is for my child, and if she had to hear this, she had to hear this, you know, and this is what I want her to hear from me. And it stuck because it opened up my eyes on how I can better communicate to her. And that's pretty much one of the things that I've taken from the program. Sorry for me, I'm tearing up, it's making it emotional.
It's all good. It's real raw emotion, like, you know.
But yeah, like it's moments like that. Then we had the trip. The trip was just for us. We went out. We literally enjoyed ourselves away from the world. We were in the boondocks, literally. There's a mountain, I want to say probably 2,000, maybe 3,000 feet that way. I can stare at it. If I wanted to run off, I could probably run off and go climb it if I wanted to. But it's literally that close, and just being in that space, that moment of clarity that you get when you get there, it's just like, I really needed that. You see what I'm saying? I really needed that. And like I said, most fathers don't have opportunity to do things like this because it's not offered. And if it is offered, it's a crime to find it. But I enjoyed that. You know, I got to see what actual fathers are like on their actual time. This is our actual downtime. This is us being us. And that was a real moment for me. But those 2 moments, most definitely, out of my course in the program, stuck out to me the most. Definitely.
That's powerful. Thank you for that, Alex. When you step back and, look at all the outcomes and you hear about, Alex's story and everything, like what kind of change tells you that this program has been effective?
Thank you for that question. I listen for anecdotes that I hear from the providers and when I get to meet the dads. So some of the things that Alex has shared, I'm very excited and pleased that I've heard other dads over the years talk about. Like one of the things that I think distinguishes how DYCD supports fatherhood compared to maybe some other cities where the local child support agency is doing it and it's good, but maybe overly focused on child support and arrears. That's one of like 100 important issues to dads and their families. So when I hear dads say, as a result of being in the program, I was gainfully employed and I heard about a vacancy. And so I told another dad in the program, here's a job. You can get more financial support for yourself and your family. When I hear dads say, hey, let's go get the diaper packs and we'll set up a play date. I actually want you to know my family. Now that I know more about what you're about, your kids, my kids, they can be a good influence on each other. That's huge to me. And of course, as a city agency, we report to the city and to the state and the federal government about the different things you point to, like the outcomes and how many of this and how many of that. And over the years, we've met or exceeded, like the metrics and the expectations. But to me, it's the real life stories. One example, I went to one of these Dads Take a Child to School Day events in Bed-Stuy, my home neighborhood. The PTA director was an African-American man. 19 dads showed up that day. He had not met any of them before. So somebody decided we should have this event. Now this guy is talking to 19 dads. And he said it along the lines, okay, the PTA usually meets at this time, but y'all tell me when you can meet. And we will adjust it. So now the PTA has engaged moms and has engaged dads working together. And they started pulling out calendars. Like, this time, they made it happen in real time. And I've heard other stories about that when dads show up on the scene, you start having things like there was a school in Queens that started doing Monday Night Football at the school. And it's no stigma, as I learned, it's no stigma to a child if their dad doesn't necessarily come, but there's great joy for the kids. Like, is your dad coming to school? And, like he's on the scene, you know what I mean? Right. And also, I would argue, when the community sees dads on the scene, it benefits the entire community because there's people that have eyes on you in a positive way. Like they're there to help. They're also there to make sure the block is secure and other things that engaged dads are going to want to provide. So like I can give you lots of anecdotes like that along with the metrics that we use. And when I think about the metrics, because it's such a holistic program, yes, we can point to dads who over time their child support increased or who over time had arrears and they were behind and they got caught up. But I also like how dads and moms who are not in the child support system, they still work out their own arrangements sometimes. And we've presented that kind of data to our sister agency that does child support. And they just look at us like, oh, that's cool. Like they actually have no formal response to something like that. Whereas we're able to neatly fit that into what I consider to be a broad, a robust, a holistic way of supporting dads where dads are. You got a receipt book and she has a receipt book and you work it out and everybody, you don't need to necessarily go to court for something you're able to work out. And if you do need to go to court. Someone can advocate for you in court too. Like either way, whatever works for the kids.
What would you say to another dad who's unsure about getting involved into a program like this?
Easiest thing in the world. Brother man, you don't think you need this help now? You need to take a hard look in the mirror and learn when to accept. I'm not sitting out here saying that it's mandatory for you, but trying something that's completely out of your range may be beneficial to you, but you'll never know unless you take that step. You're talking to somebody who took that step, and I'm telling you it works. You should try it.
Is there anything else that you guys would like to add
There are a lot of things that I'm really excited about with the way our Fatherhood Initiative is designed now. Things that we never were able to do at the scale that we think we'll be able to do them. One of them is, as a result of being in the program, we want dads to design their own community projects. And DYCD does that kind of work on a lot of forums, but what I want to say to this audience is I'm not talking about like a voter registration drive or something like that's great to do that. What I mean is like dads, as a result of being in the fatherhood program, what do they want for dads in their community? And being able to have the support of the providers to help them figure out what that means. And it's up to them what that means.
Right,
but dads
right.
being able to network with other dads, maybe that results in other dads being referred into the program. Maybe they don't refer to the program, but they're doing neighborhood watch together, or they're doing some school thing together, or they're doing whatever it is, their jobs thing together. But when I think about the opportunity to, again, challenge these narratives, unhelpful narratives about dads, the programs are going to be able to help the dads figure out how they want to do that themselves. And so I do also want to encourage any faith-based organizations, churches, mosques, synagogues, any Greek letter organizations, any fraternities or whatever, right? This is an opportunity for you to make direct connection with our fatherhood programs. They're looking for you. Some of your members might benefit from being in the program, but again, when dads and when men are working and networking together, it's only going to help the community. It's only going to help their children. I always want to remind folks that programs like DYC's Fatherhood Initiative are free of charge. And with the expanded initiative, we've got at least 2 programs operating at every borough. Go to DYC's website. It's very easy to navigate. If you yourself are a dad, if you're expecting, you're about to become a parent, if your neighbor or your friend is a dad, let them know about this program. We would be very happy to receive them. You know, younger dads, older dads, custodial dads, non-custodial dads. We believe it when it says it takes a village. And I think in this episode, we've gone over a lot of benefits. People who may not have found a forum to reflect. We said steel sharpens steel. It's an opportunity to reflect and improve in one's own life, and that's going to pay it forward to their children. So we invite you to participate. The last thing I will say is we are determined to be part of changing the city's conversation about responsible fatherhood. And that's not something that we can do alone. You can expand the scope of the programs, but if you're a dad or a father figure and you want to volunteer some time, you just want to come chop it up with the guys, there's real power in someone who's not paid by us or paid by the provider said, that's how I got my kids back, or that's how I did it, or whatever it may be. So we would welcome you if you just want to come stop by and meet with some of the dads, share your story. That's a part of our initiative now and going forward too.
Also, before we end the episode, just a quick reminder, applications open for the 2026 Summer Youth Employment Program on January 20th, and SYP will be providing a 5th consecutive summer of 100,000 jobs and other paid opportunities to young people aged 14 to 24. SYP applications can be completed online or through participating community-based organizations found at nyc.gov/SYEP during the application period through Friday, February 27th, 2026. Applications are also available for employers who would like to provide paid experiences for SYP participants by becoming a worksite. For more information on DYCD, check out nyc.gov/DYCD or be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Join us again next month for another episode of DYCD Next Gen. Once again, I'm your host, Ryan Cooks, and thank you for listening, and thank you guys for being on the show. Thank you so much.
No problem.